Leave without taking my mask.
Yeah.
I think that. Or I'll be shot tomorrow. Trying to work. No. There you go.
Okay, we are streaming, we are live.
Okay. All right, you ready? I'd like to call the July 25th, 2022 Town of Rochester Planning Board Workshop meeting to order. Rick, we can start with.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair Sarge,
Present.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Ms. Lindstrom. Here. Mr. Pinsky,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Grasso,
Here.
Mr. Jarvis.
Yeah.
Ms. Maloney absent. And then let the record show that we have the attorney for the town, Mary Lou Christiana, present.
For the board.
Your official title is attorney for the town, correct?
This is all the board.
And then myself, Nicole Knapp, secretary to the planning board.
So the first item on the agenda is Honeycomb Hills. And for this, we have a couple of recusals. So we have me. I will recuse myself. And there was one outstanding issue with the maintenance of the swale, as well as we have the draft decision that I think we should walk through as well, because we're up against the clock to need a decision by the next meeting, by the first meeting in August. So shall we discuss the swale first? Is that the?
My surveyor said he was coming tonight,
So
so
we can start with the.
Did John realize it's 6:30 and not 7?
I did tell him 6:30. Yeah. I don't know if we need him to discuss the drainage. I think we do.
I think we do.
Okay, so
All right, so let's start through with the decision then. I'll read through it, and as we go, please,
I'll just introduce my attorney, who's Jeff Provence.
representing everybody.
Again.
And then just a couple of things just before we get started. So let's make sure that our cell phones are all on mute. And let's be sure that we're not talking over each other and interrupting each other. Keep the sidebar conversations. What the police are saying. All right. So this is decision PB 2021-3 STD. Minor subdivision, conditional final approval, the applicant being Mark Rossa. Reason for request, applicant proposes a subdivision of the current 23.92 acre parcel into 4 lots. Lot 1 plus or minus 5.3 acres. Lot 2 plus or minus 5.671 acres. Lot 3 plus or minus 7.253 acres. And lot 4 plus or minus 5.566 acres. The location is Beehive Road in Kerhompson. The total acreage is plus or minus 23.92 acres. So I assume somebody's done the math and made sure that we don't exceed the 20. The SBL for this is 68.3-1-27. The zoning district is R5 Rural Conservation. The applicant proposes 4-lot subdivision of the parcel. Parcel's current use is vacant, with a portion of the existing town road known as Beehive Road and is plus or minus 23.92 acres. The subdivision would result in the creation of 4 lots for 4 new homes with driveways, wells, septics, etc. A 50-foot right-of-way is delineated to provide for the continued use and maintenance of the existing town road, which would serve all 4 proposed lots. 4 new driveways would be constructed off the existing town road, beginning with the delineated 50-foot right-of-way leading into each lot. Secret, unlisted, uncoordinated, and negative declaration on June 13, 2022. Code enforcement determination, minor subdivision. Zoning permit 21/704 with amended determination letter dated February 15, 2022. So I know there's a red line version here with some of Liz's comments, right?
wasn't, Liz's comments, I believe, when
Okay.
Chair Jones was,
Oh,
when
okay.
you, when,
Okay,
That was really rough.
okay, all right, so I'll just make sure I'm working off the right line. Planning Board application 2021-23 SPD, Planning Board application filed 12/20/2021, EAF filed 12/16/2021, other agency referrals not. All right. Whereas an application for subdivision approval was submitted to the Planning Board for the project as follows. An application was submitted by Mark Grosso, applicant, also known as the project sponsor. Project sponsor, wherever used herein shall mean and is intended to mean applicant as identified in the above referenced application, its successors in interest or assignees as may be appropriate. The applicant paid application fees and deposited monies into an escrow account to cover the consultant charges for the review of the project in accordance with the current fee schedule and in agreement with the provisions of section 125-19 of the Town of Rochester Subdivision Code and section 140-63 of the Code of the Town of Rochester. The applicant submitted a set of drawings for sheets entitled Tram NY LLC, minor subdivision map of Honeycomb Hill, prepared by John Heidecker, licensed land surveyor, as more fully listed at the end of this resolution. And the application was accepted by the Planning Board of the Town of Rochester in December 2021. And the application was referred by the Planning Board to the Town of Rochester, to the town consultant planner and engineer, and the town planning board attorney. And whereas the action is an unlisted action pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.4 and 617.5 of the implementing regulations pertaining to Article 8 of the SECRA and of the Environmental Conservation Law, and the Planning Board concluded its review under SECRA by adopting a determination of non-significance negative declaration at its regular meeting, June 13, 2022. And whereas Planning Board reviewed the application and all supporting documentation and information pursuant to the standards and criteria for subdivision approval set forth in the Code of the Town of Rochester, Chapter 125, subdivision of land and pertinent requirements and standards, Chapter 140 zoning. And whereas the Planning Board held a duly noticed public hearings on the completed application pursuant to Chapter 125, Section 125.12 on,
I think that should be June.
yeah,
Plan it, the public hearing was on June, whatever, June 20.
so
June something.
June 15, 2022, which was closed.
June 13th.
13th. It was closed on June 13th as well.
Yes.
Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board of the Town of Rochester makes the following findings about this project. 1, the Planning Board received zoning determination and classification that the subdivision is located in an R5 zoning district and is a minor subdivision for correspondence from the code enforcement officer received February 15, 2022. The proposed 4-lot subdivision would result in the creation of 4 lots for new homes, each with driveways, wells, septics, etc., with a 50-foot wide right-of-way delineated to provide continued use and maintenance of the existing town road, which would serve the proposed lots via new driveways. Subdivision was discussed at regular meetings of the Planning Board held on January 10th, March 14th, April 11th, May 9th, June 13th, and July 11th, all 2022, during which the Planning Board, its consultants, and the applicants' representative discussed the site's land use and natural features, including the site's topography and access.
Chair, question, because we moved the application from the July 11th meeting to a
Right.
workshop that should be changed.
July 25th. Thank you. In response to the material set forth by the applicants, as well as the town consultants, along with comments from the Planning Board, the board finds the following impacts and determinations based on the most current plan dated June 27, 2022, including the site is undeveloped except for the existing town road described herein, a swale and a land disturbance to create driveways. The subdivision would result in the creation of 4 new lots for new homes as described above. The Accordingly, there would be an increase in the land development, a corresponding change in an increase in stormwater runoff from the proposed subdivision, and the proposed lots will comply with R5 zoning district lot area bulk requirements, pertinent subdivision design standards and requirements. These findings have been prepared by the board and read and discussed in the meeting, and this is July 11th. So, and the board hereby adopts these findings. That will be a date in August by the following vote. Conditions for approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Rochester Planning Board hereby grants minor subdivision conditional final approval of proposed 4-lot subdivision situated at Beehive Road, Cohasset, New York, as depicted on the plan entitled Cram NY LLC, minor subdivision map for Honeycomb Hills, prepared by John Heidegger, licensed land surveyor, dated June 27, 2022, subject to satisfactory compliance with the following provisions. The project's sponsor shall reimburse the Town of Rochester for all costs incurred by the town for review of this subdivision proposal. The final plat for this subdivision will not be stamped and signed by the planning board chairman unless and until all appropriate costs incurred by the town, the customary and necessary review have been paid or by the applicant by either means of the escrow account established at the initial application stage or by check payable to the Town of Rochester. The applicant shall revise the plan set to label all profiles with changes in grade expressed as a percent on sheet 3 drainage swale profile. The applicant shall revise the plan to label all profiles with changes in grade expressed as a percent on sheet 4, with driveway lot 1 and driveway lot 2 labeled each as driveway profile lot for lots 1 through 4, and the applicant shall revise the plan to eliminate the spare line on the profile for lot 1. As agreed at the site visit conducted May 4th, 2022, revised the legend item for low area on certain plan sheets to read low/wet area, which should be done on all plan sheets where the legend is shown, sheets 1, 2, 4, and 5. Revise the plan sheet 1 to correct the proposed lot widths and rear yard listed in the zoning table for lots 1 through 4, if indeed in consultation with the planning board's consulting planner. The applicant shall present a final plan for signature that includes the following plan notes. Any further subdivision of this parcel shall comply with all of the pertinent major subdivision procedures, requirements, and standards, including design standards as set forth in the Code of the Town of Rochester, Chapter 125, Subdivision of Land. No further subdivision of this parcel is permitted without prior approval of the planning board. This property contains a New York State regulated stream for as long as any portion of the property described in this deed is subject to regulation under Article 15, Protection of Waters, of the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York. There will be no regulated activity as defined by Article 15 of the ECL on this property within the bed or banks of this stream at any time without having first secured the necessary permission and permit required pursuant to the above noted Article 15 of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. This restriction shall bind the grantees, their successors, and assignees, and shall be expressly set forth in all subsequent deeds of this property. Can be what? I'm sorry?
Yes, yes, D with quotation marks, you don't quite know.
I think it's for if there's anything else.
If there are any other
Is there
matters.
Any other map notes? So, like that.
I just got notified from John, he's not gonna make any kids, so hopefully that's not as bad as. So Mary Lou will have to figure out the drainage on our own.
Okay, so we'll talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, let's discuss it, so at least we can
Yeah.
give Mary Lou the
I
right
need input of
direction.
the board, right?
Yeah. So. Go forward. Mary, are you finding any, you can look, because it's buying me time to wet my whistle here, so, okay.
Yeah, it may just,
No, of course I'm having Google my dump. Yes.
it may just be that we have that there for additions that we may have.
Placeholder.
We had,
We should have it noted.
We have a slightly different map mode on this place, but on the, says exactly the same thing. And further, subdivision parcels of the all the pertinent major subdivision procedures, we usually would say. Do we have a right to farm? On the.
Actually, she has major subdivision procedures, but this is a minor subdivision.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is usually we say.
Well, you can farm if you want, or.
Any further subdivision shall be treated as a major subdivision
Right.
under more supervision of 125,
That's a
and subdivision shall adhere to.
Oh, okay.
Okay. well,
That's our,
wait, what do you, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So you just, what were you discussing?
so that,
What was the question?
No, it's okay, I got it.
so typically, A, is a statement different the way she has written it, that it shall comply with all major subdivision procedures, thus implying that it will be a major subdivision when and if it comes. So it might be a little bit clearer. Typically, we said any further subdivision shall be treated as a major subdivision under TOR subdivision law, so people know that.
So can we just revise that text? And then we're more comfortable with that,
Right. Or we could just add it into the,
add it below.
add it above that.
Do you have the text?
Yes. So it just helps somebody if they come and buy something that they know, oh, this time it'll be a major, it'll have different criteria and it wasn't like before.
Right. Was there a rate? I'm sorry.
Sorry, you want to completely replace this?
No,
No,
just add it.
just add it,
Add
Edit.
it sentence.
and then we typically put on everything, no, actually, it's didn't border farm. The person next to you is on farm. Are they? There's
No.
more question. If you border a farm, somebody's in the ag district, then we put the right to farm, but I think
Do you want us to just put it on there? I think we already
you
had. it
have
planned.
you have no
I think-
room.
I'm adding map notes.
Get a bigger map.
We'll get it on there, right?
So I think, what's the impact if you put it on there and it's incorrect?
It's very general, no impact. This property may border a farm as defined in chapter 75. It's not a right.
So it's a may.
It's a may, exactly. It doesn't,
I actually think it's already on there, to be honest.
I thought it was
I'm
actually,
not.
it could be,
but
but
I might have.
it-
used a different app.
that was it was just a subdivision.
All right.
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
All right. Anything further?
No, that was it.
Yes, that
Just to go back to the findings, I think in the previous rendition of this, we had something in there about the waivers. We had given waivers for marking all the rock down properties, and that was in the findings. So I think that should be in the findings. I'm not sure how to word it, but
We
the board
received a
approved-
waiver.
the board approved, I don't remember what meeting, it was a May. But the board approved the waiver of
Not labeling.
any requirement to waive all the rock down properties on the property and limited to the rock down properties impacted by the driveways. That was the waiver.
Yeah.
That was the
I-
only waiver.
The waiver was granted.
Yeah, it was granted.
Right.
Yeah.
So it should say
So I think we should have
the
that.
board granted that.
Were there any other waivers?
No, there was another waiver asked for, but can't move that. I don't even remember what.
Yeah, I think it's on.
Right.
So let's
Made a
make a
note.
note of that. This material.
That was the only finding.
All right, so to continue, we're at point 8. Revise the minor subdivision map of Honeycomb Hill to be entitled Final Plat showing Honeycomb Hill subdivision. Add owner's consent block to the plan set. The owner's consent block shall be signed and dated by the owners following the date of the last revision and prior to the chair signing the plat. She has a question here. The owner shall drill well on lots 1 through 4 and secure approval from the Ulster County Department of Health prior to the planning board chairman's signature on the subdivision plan, providing the planning board with evidence that the wells have been drilled.
I think sometimes what we do with that is we say, or secures a letter from an engineer, certified letter from an engineer, attesting to the fact that each of the lots will support wells. So it's
So-
either or.
So instead of shall drill a well, shall either show Approval, evidence or approval, it's in our code, exactly how
Yeah.
we say it. Show approval, I'm paraphrasing, from the Ulster County Department of Health, or approved by a licensed engineer, certified licensed engineer, that it can support well and septic. So as long as either Department of Health says, yes, it's okay, or a licensed engineer says, oh, it's okay, they don't have to actually drill the well. Because you don't maybe know depth where the house is gonna. So it's just making sure you can, which is in,
125 or more?
oh, I believe it's in both.
Water supply and 25.
It's just so that we can get it, Nicole. Twenty-five, 25%.
Water supply.
No, if you just pull up a completed application. I'll ask her.
We could use the language that we used in the project. Remember that, what we went through with that?
That's
And
right.
Mary
that was
Lou, I
everything
think
one
Mary
was-
Lou gave us some,
Yeah, we don't have to do. force on it.
she gave us some verbiage just to what to say. And then back and I just provided us with that.
With the
That's
letter.
sufficient.
Okay.
I think it's 125-11.
11.
Yeah,
All right, to continue then. This minor subdivision conditional final approval shall expire 180 days from this approval date unless the final plat is presented and signed by the chairman. This period may be extended for 2 additional 90-day periods upon application to a resolution by the town of Rochester Planning Board. The Town of Rochester Planning Board further grants minor subdivision conditional final approval upon satisfactory completion of the conditions of approval 1 through 10 above. And that would be say 11.
1 through 11.
Well,
However,
we-
other than it.
yeah.
One for whatever.
We'll get the-
nothing.
1 through X.
But sure, I think the only item missing from here is the whole issue of how we're gonna deal with the maintenance of the drainage swales from the point of the ponding area on the right-hand side of the main property, all the way down between lots 2 and 3, down to the on Main Stream in the middle.
And after, we're gonna, Mary Lou's preparing, and as we're going through this, we'll speak on that as soon as we're done.
so should we make it 1 through 12 then?
Yeah, whatever the
Well,
number ends up
12
being.
will be whatever. she
Yeah,
drafts.
Yeah, well.
There was one with 3 dots.
Or whatever after we know.
Of whatever,
After we know
pending
everything.
whatever you write.
Effective approval. The owner shall file in the office of the Ulster County Clerk such approved plat bearing the chairman's signature and any other related documents in 62 days from the date of signature. Such approval shall be deemed to expire without further notice in accordance with New York State Town Law 276. The owner shall have the responsibility to return 3 Ulster County Clerk certified copies of the filed plat and any other related documents to the Town of Rochester Planning Board within 30 days of such filing. And these are just the adopted dates, motion for approval. And then on the back are the materials that we. I don't think we have to walk through.
No, we don't go through those.
All right, so sounds like there's a few changes to, but nothing, more typographical stuff than anything else, nothing really material. So Mary Lou,
Okay, so originally we were talking about the applicant providing us with a drainage easement, excuse me, along the road. But there's very little bit of this drainage that's gonna be near the road. Most of it is going to be on lot 4. Correct?
can you call it?
I think it would be between lot 2 and 3.
Hang on, let's get the map up so we can. all look at this.
On that map, along the road, along the cul-de-sac,
Mm-hmm.
you have something that's already been maintained, if you would, dug out in order to provide for whatever water going down. And there were
Swale.
2
Mm-hmm.
Culverts,
culverts going
Driveway
under each of
culverts.
the driveways, driveway 1 and 2 or 2.
just driveway number 4 has 2, driveway number 3 has 1.
Okay, so
Which sheet are you on? I'm sorry,
I'm right now just looking at the first.
the first one, okay.
So our concern was with the maintenance of the swale and as well as the maintenance of the two culverts that go into those driveways. That was the first set of concerns. Second set of concerns was going from the point of the end, from the cul-de-sac all the way down between the two lots. I don't know the
Do you mind if
numbers
I
of the
point?
two lots. Yeah,
Everybody, no, please. So this is the cul-de-sac, the road cul-de-sac. This is lot number 4. This is where the pooling that Rick just mentioned is.
Right.
There's 2 culverts that go through here for aesthetics, one that goes through here. The water goes down through this driveway culvert, through this driveway culvert, and then rides through the property line on 2 and 3.
down to the stream.
It runs out, but yeah, we have it so that it goes all.
So Mary Lou, again, my recollection is you talked about having something formal between the town and the applicant.
Right.
for that which was along the cul-de-sac, but then that which was between the lots had nothing to do with the town. But there need to be some provision in the deeds to ensure that that was maintained so that quite literally the beginning of that unnamed stream, whether it's the Mill Brook or Plum Marcus, whatever it's called, continues to receive the water from the pooled area and the water doesn't get dispersed in some other direction.
Yeah, we need some kind of,
So there was something between the municipality and the applicant, and then there was something between, I think, whoever the future homeowners are of those two properties. Or if you decided to form some sort of a homeowners association to
talked about that.
maintain everything, then
Right.
that's a different thing altogether.
so my understanding from my conversation the other day with Mr. Cohen and Mr. Heidecker is that you're now going to take care of the culverts under the driveways as well?
It makes sense for us to maintain the culverts, the property owner of that property. It's their responsibility to maintain the culvert.
Now, that culvert though goes into the cul-de-sac or is the culvert outside?
So the water is here,
Yeah.
it rides down on the side of this is the cul-de-sac here. It goes on the side of the cul-de-sac, the end of the cul-de-sac, and then starts on the front.
So Mark, who's gonna
Okay,
make,
but,
but where's the culvert? Underneath
The culvert is
driveway.
underneath the driveway.
right, but that cul-de-sac goes around,
Here,
that, yeah, that will be town.
It's going underneath.
So it's going under on the town road.
right now, it goes underneath the property owner's portion,
Within the right of way.
within the right of way.
Well, right, oh, in the right of way, that's where the question comes in.
So in the event that
Generally,
the
if
town
it's
were to
in the-
make this larger, if in the event they ever decide to make it bigger, then we would have to figure out if the culverts are gonna be now the town's or still the
Well,
property.
easier to figure that out now.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And the
Hang on
other,
just a second. Soren, you had a question?
My question is, cul-de-sac maintained by towns?
Yes,
So why the thing is maintained culvert? Because in my case,
why what?
maintain the culvert.
Why, who can?
Why doesn't the
Town,
town
town.
maintain the culvert?
If it's part of the cul-de-sac.
It's not.
because it's in the
But,
The
Right of way,
culvert,
but
the culvert
not-
is on the property of the driveway, but it's in the right of way that we grant.
Okay,
So it's not
that,
within,
because it's in
within
the
the
town
culvert.
right of way. And generally, when something's in the town right of way, the town maintains it, because, you know, we don't know who the property owner is gonna be.
Yeah,
We don't know,
forward
we don't
goes.
want the property owner working in our right of way.
Okay.
So what I would foresee is we go back to that original where we'll maintain the culvert within the town right of way. And the rest will be maintained by the property. So there'll be two separate.
We talked about that in the beginning, that was the
Right.
original way.
Hang on just a second.
John is,
Soren had another.
No, I just to give you an example, I have a culvert in the right of way, town maintains the culvert.
Right,
before we get to the first culvert, Mark, from
this
that
first
point
culvert,
to where you get the seepage from the pond,
sure,
who's maintaining that? There's about 50 feet, 60 feet, 70 feet.
there's nothing to maintain.
Well, you need a swale in order that the water flows along the culvert, along the road.
The water's coming from this side of the spring.
The water comes from the spring. And all along the road, it's seeping into the swale. There's a swale right here.
That's been dug by the town.
Well, no.
No, it is, yeah, because there's a town culvert that goes underneath.
So it fronts the property, real property. The culvert It's in the right way and it fronts the property. Who's maintaining that? Do we define that?
It's-
as a
that-
supervisor's
Well,
property?
hang on, that's within the right of way of the town.
So that should be the
Yeah,
town.
We gave
also.
that 50 feet to the town.
That should all be town in that part.
Right, and it,
As it is today.
And that's why we did that.
Is it?
so it's from here to here with the easement that you're giving us.
Uh-huh,
Is this the 50 feet here,
correct.
from here to here?
Yep, this is the actual counter, this is the lines here, and then 50 feet buffer.
Okay, all right, so,
The property lines go to the center of the road. Yes.
right,
Which is fine.
right.
So Rick, to answer your question, this 25 feet of, on this side is the town's.
And where is the culvert that goes across?
I believe it's.
And
And it's overgrown and not maintained. We haven't done
That's
anything.
what it is.
Okay.
It's not been maintained. It is, it should be the jurisdiction of the town, but if you drive up there now, the town hasn't
They haven't done anything
done anything.
whatsoever. Okay. And that's why we proposed that we would maintain it, because
It needs to be brought up.
So there's a difference.
But the seepage is coming out of it has to be maintained by some-
Right, right, that's what I was gonna say, if we have a culvert up here, and then there's gonna be
With an old culvert.
drainage that goes here, what happens between here and here? Is there a culvert that goes all the way down?
no, it's just, that's like what Liz says, that she's calling this just a low area. But it's in the conditions.
This is an open, somebody's dug out an open soil. It's a ditch.
A ditch, yeah.
It was a ditch.
It's a ditch.
So, but Maren, to your point, if the town has the right of way and has, and it's theirs to do, whether or not they do it, is that material to whether or not they're exercising that? Over a number of years, it certainly is, but, if they did it this year and didn't do
Well-
it for 3 years, does that matter?
They'll
They're
prob- I'm sorry, they'll have to bring it up to snuff, because before this was empty land, so now we have people that could be developing houses here.
Right.
The town will have some responsibility for doing some work, as Rick was saying, right now, you just have mush going
Right, but they
across.
still had that responsibility years, they just didn't exercise it because it wasn't as critical,
Well,
because
there
they
was-
weren't at the
There was
house.
a big debate who owned this. thing.
There-
They-
Go
The
for it.
question was how far does the right go? And no one
Okay.
really knows, and that is why they're now going to give us a 50
Exactly.
foot
Now I
right of way.
understand, okay, thank you.
So now we have the 50 foot right of way, so we're gonna be responsible for along there. But now, who's gonna
The reason that we
put in
were,
the infrastructure immediately, and also we have to have an agreement because we have to make sure that nobody puts a fence in that area and there, no trees are planted. There's things they can do, and Jeff and I would work that out.
Right now, that dug swale, I'll call it a dug swale, whoever dug it out north.
Low area.
Low area,
Low
we'll
area.
call it.
It's been straight. Normally, if it was maintained by the town and however many years they get around to it, there would be rock in there. There'd be number 2 rock, or there'd be rock in there in order to maintain it, so the whole thing doesn't cave in. Or gets filled, and then eventually when it gets filled with leaves and debris, they come and clean it out. Right now, as I saw it back in May, it's just dirt. That's been clear. So it's important to know who's gonna maintain that, who's gonna bring it up to some
Right,
standard of
first
engineering.
is going to,
Who's going to make sure that nothing gets disturbed there, that a landowner doesn't decide, well, you know what? I don't like where it's going, I'm redirecting
Right.
or whatever.
and that's important, Rick, as you said, because this low area is fueling this culvert,
Yeah, that low area
this
is,
culvert, and drain, where the water is
that
going.
low area is still, it's not running swiftly, but it's got.
It's not
water
now
there
it's dry, but yes, it's
In the spring.
in the spring and the winter, there's water.
So what's the proposal that you're putting
Well,
forward?
hang on, real quick. The reason why in the beginning, when Jeff, John, and Mary Lou talked, that we wanted to take it back is exactly for what Rick is saying. We want it to be maintained.
Right.
We don't want it to be delinquent as it is now. So we are okay with the town taking it. That's why we gave it to them in the beginning, but it needs to be maintained. And if it's not going to be, like it hasn't, we would like to maintain it because we want it to be preserved in nice condition.
Sure.
So we don't, Mary Lou, we don't care who does it as long as it's done.
There's a letter from, the last letter from Jeff Fry, like the client, indicated that they would maintain it.
right, but
And as late as a month ago, we said, no, that's not good enough. Right, we said we need something more definite than
you'll just take care of it.
Right, well, no, and Jeff agreed that we have an agreement
Right.
about.
I'm sorry.
Um,
wait, Patrick. I didn't hear you.
The reason that we weren't accepting Jeff's letter, there was no defining of what.
No constructs.
Oh,
okay.
right. And then I talked to Jeff and I said, you know, how about if we get an easement, we have an agreement, and you'll maintain it, and that's fine. But the question is, who puts in the infrastructure in the first place
Okay.
that the town's gonna maintain?
Right.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that our thought was the applicant would put in, working with the highway department to make sure it's done to, you know, however Jeff will need it, that they will install. And after installation, and after Jeff approves the installation, the town will maintain it. Does that sound right to you?
No,
Okay,
no, it does, according to what the town right now says it's a ditch. So they're maintaining the ditch, meaning they're digging out the ditch and water is flowing through it. I don't know of anything where we would have to bring it up to a certain point for them to continue. But
and maybe it's not.
Right.
We'd have to
Yeah, I
ask him
don't-
because I don't know how that changes.
As-
Ask Jeff, ask the highway superintendent, because I don't know how that changes the ditch with houses being built. You know,
that,
or-
that area
or
is
lakes.
not being disturbed on that portion at all. The disturbance is already way beyond that point. So I don't believe that there's anything that needs to be done in that area. Water runs out of the ground and goes through its natural path and ends up where it ends up.
Well, I'd say this is-
The driveways are gonna.
It's been, no, the driveways are there. Water's been rolling through the
driveways on.
all driveways are in place. All culverts are there. Water's been rolling through
They
it
have
over a
been,
year. This is not it.
Um. I don't think you know, I think we should just be certain with CPL. That's our planning and zoning. I know we always say Liz, but it's CPL. And with Jeff, if they say nothing needs to be done, we just need the right of way, and they'll, you know, they just need to maintain the ditch, great.
Part of the slope analysis that we were waiting for on the engineer as well.
Yeah, you have that.
We got that.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I have a ditch, they come in couple, come in couple times per year, and they do. So it's
Yeah, and
basically
maybe
they
it's just fun, I don't know.
if they don't
I'm
do
not-
it, then we'll have to bring it up to highway department, do the work.
When I spoke with Jeff at the highway department, he said that they would maintain it. He had no issues with it, and he wrote a letter providing that. That letter was not satisfactory. And I think it's, as Mary Lou said, it didn't define what they were actually going to maintain.
Right.
So maybe Jeff can write a
I think a
stronger
call to
letter.
Jeff and to Liz to say, hey, does that need more than the ditch being cleaned out that's there right now? You know, that may be the
Right,
answer right
the
there.
onus is really on our highway department at
Right.
this juncture, that they haven't provided enough of a substantive
Guidance.
guidance as to, we believe as it currently is,
Right.
ditch culvert, whatever, this is
Or-
enough. Or if there's going to be X amount of more traffic, you will need some item number XYZ in it, and we are going to maintain it. He just said, yeah, this is fine, we'll maintain it. That's what we're.
So I think,
stuck.
Nicole, perhaps you can schedule some of, I know Mr. Price is pretty busy this time of year, so doing everything. So we can get on his calendar for a half an hour. And discuss
Yeah,
the
and
details
and
around
it
that.
may be totally fun. Jeff's plan may be, we're gonna have a ditch, we're gonna clean it out, we're gonna maintain.
So the
And like
granting of the
George-
50-foot right of way to the town. That's the intent. Do we need that legally documented?
Yeah, it's shown on the map,
Right.
that's fine, but we're gonna do an agreement as well, so that it's, or maybe just put map notes on. And I can discuss that with Liz and with John and Mr. Provenzano.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Wait, let me finish this thing. Yeah, so, yeah, it's on here, we'll either get an agreement or a map note to say, in the 50-foot right of way, no trees, no fences, blah, 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 blah.
And that needs to be in the deed of whoever owns the
No,
property.
No, we'll either put it in an agreement that gets recorded in the county clerk's office, so everybody's on notice.
Okay.
Or we put that note on, we put everybody on.
So that needs to be.
Mary Lou, we are
Condition-
either, we're okay with either,
Okay,
that needs to
whatever
be
you prefer.
Condition number 12, though, because right now this doesn't reflect anything of what
Right.
we discussed.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It needs
Yes,
to
it's
be-
gonna be an addition. So this is one of the, it'll be finalized at the meeting in August.
so
Chop
on,
chop for 2
on
weeks here,
these other
guys.
lots.
The other
on-
lots being the ones with the culverts.
On the lots with the driveways that go into the cul-de-sac. We're gonna need culverts, obviously,
Culvert's already there.
already, so we've already put those in.
The
So I think
driveway,
that we're gonna, I think the town's gonna wanna maintain them because they are within the town right of way.
Sure.
And that way they can make sure it's done correctly, and if it's not done correctly.
okay, that's fine. I don't want to get in the ditch. I'm
Or
okay.
the depths if you want.
Yeah. And then we'll need an agreement between the two lot owners, right?
And then we'll need an agreement, that sets forth the meets and bounds, which I believe John Moss.
Yep.
Of that,
Swale.
swale, what needs to be done to maintain it, and that it's not, and that it is a responsibility of lot 2 and 3 to maintain the portion that is on there.
So you're saying after the town right of way's responsibility, it is the responsibility of lot 2 and lot 3 owners to maintain the remainder of the swale.
Yes, yep, and, we'll have the same stuff that no fences.
Yep. And is that a map note?
No, I think that's probably an agreement that we record in the town clerks, because that's a little bit more.
Okay. So
Something we
It
want to
doesn't-
make sure these people see,
Right, it's not involving.
So Mayor, in addition
right?
on
to
that,
no fences, no this, no that, no impoundment of the water, no further impoundment of the water. Because that water that starts up there, and there are other many sources for this river and stream there are, that's one of them. I wouldn't want to see anybody impounding the water and creating a pond.
Mhm.
And eventually the pond's got to go somewhere because there's running water, but I don't think we should even have that. That it should just simply run freely as it does today and be maintained in order to see what purportedly is the headwaters to the Mombacus or the Nova, whatever.
Unnamed or named.
I think as long as the water, like you said, Rick, as long as the water flows freely from the low area to the Millbrook without intersection,
Whatever the,
right, whatever the verbiage, yeah,
without impoundment
Yeah.
of any sort.
then we should be fine.
Nobody creates a koi pond or what.
So let me
Which
give this
wouldn't
back.
be half bad, but. What's that?
No damming, it's essentially.
No damming, no
Right.
impoundment, no
A pond
diversion.
would probably look nice.
Guarantee water.
Okay, so let me give this back so that we're sure we're all walking away with the same
Should I
understanding
ask
of
for something?
what we're asking, for, right? So, in the meeting with Jeff, that we have, related to the ditch, we want to understand the right of way, the size of the right of way that he's gonna do, who's gonna maintain that ditch, and as well as what exceptions he sees to it other than trees, fences, dammings, et cetera. things like that, right? Then on the culverts, the ones that are installed under the driveways now, we want Jeff to feel comfortable that they're up to the highway department standards.
Hold on right there. They are because he signed off on the driveway permit, which he required the culvert.
Okay, we're gonna double check.
Yep, no, just so you have that, because he's gonna,
Because we got him for 15 minutes, let's make sure we fill his time. Right? We'll make it, do we need an agreement on who's gonna maintain the culverts post approved? Or is it that
No,
those?
no, that
yes?
should be-
They're the notes we're gonna have on
That-
the
but
map.
those, for
and-
those two culverts, we also need the maintenance agreement on, yes? Or is that gonna be Jeff?
That's Jeff.
Jeff,
That's just,
Yeah.
so
That's
so
all
he
in
needs
town.
awareness that he's gonna be doing that.
everything within the 50
Right.
is Jeff's.
Okay. And then the last piece is the swell, the agreement between the lot owners on who's gonna maintain it. And then and then those two lots, 2 and 3, we're gonna put that in the deed essentially. And again, it's gonna be the same kind of exceptions, trees, fences.
you know, anything, any disturbance at all.
And the only thing I'd add, Bruce, is sort of pre-one, have Jeff affirm to you that he is satisfied that the ditch swale culvert, whatever it is called, in its current state is
Satisfactory.
satisfactory.
Yeah.
Or if it needs any-
Or if it needs anything additional before they go into their maintenance agreement.
Right, is it right? Up to snuff.
Is it up to snuff? Exactly.
Okay. You have a comment?
Yeah, I have a question about the letter, just for my information education. It says, agree to continue to maintain and take care of all swells, culverts, and waterways within the right of way, B5 road. So what else, do you want from me?
No, I needed to know where that right of way was, and that's why they're giving us the easement.
Okay.
And they
But
say,
they
oh,
also got it.
So he pretty much has everything covered that he agrees. And now Mary Lou has clarified sort of exactly where the right of way is. And then where that dark part ends, then the people between 2 and 3,
Right,
they'll
right,
cover
right.
that. I think to redouble check with Jeff that he really
Ah,
is sure of what he said there, since
Okay. So
versus he was
basically,
busy.
Double check.
A double check
You
versus
understood, you
he
understand what you're.
understood what he's really taking on
Okay.
versus,
Right.
yeah, I'll do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you could see where at one point there was a ditch dug on both sides of the road for water to flow, probably years ago. So you could see that there was some maintenance done there by somebody. Which I assume Jeff, that's probably why Jeff's saying, we were already doing it.
All right, that's a plan.
Rick, anything else?
no, I,
Sorry?
that would somehow be accomplished in that number 12.
It's a big 12, exactly.
Yeah.
12 is like 12 figures.
Yeah.
So
So will that be a condition of approval, number 12?
it will.
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yes, yeah. You're very nice talk about that,
The
that
condition.
we don't need to have.
Exactly.
Do you have like a standard template?
No, I don't.
I think we'll just have to coordinate whatever, it's gonna, between the two lot owners, it's gonna kind of mimic the same restrictions on the.
Yes,
Right, away. So I think if Mary Lou maybe.
we can figure it out
coordinate
between us.
what needs to be
Yeah, you can
involved.
sort of mimic what the letter was that Jeff wrote. And make sure, and maybe add impoundment, no impoundments to it. You can start with that and then
There
add
might
to
be
it.
a 12 and 13. 12 might refer to the
Right.
fact that the town is maintaining it as per the letter of such and such, given the fact that it's 50 foot right away, and that will be memorialized on the map. And then 13 would be something as between property owners.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
probably
blah.
cleaner.
So keep it clean. then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 12 and 13.
Right, yeah.
Just a
Absolutely,
suggestion.
and then John will have to, put some border there to show, you know, where the property owner's responsibility. So
Yeah, that's right.
So he has it dotted because he didn't know if you wanted it solid or not. So this is the property line between 2 and 3. You'll see the swell, how it goes over.
Yeah,
and comes
yeah, no,
back.
I'm talking about town and, you know,
Oh, this
Town ends
portion?
here,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We had that on the original
So
survey.
Mark, it actually
Town
looks-
road ends here.
Mark, it actually looks like the swale down to the Millbrook is primarily on only one piece of property.
I think it actually is, but I don't know that for certain until he flags it.
okay, so
Yeah. Just move your lot line and put it on property.
Which is fine if that's what you guys want us to do.
Don't touch it.
I want to change the-
don't do anything. Don't do anything.
Yeah, but no, like you said, I think that all of the water is on lot 3 and lot 2 won't have any maintenance.
okay,
Which
I hope that's the case.
I hope that's the case too, yeah.
And at some point, this becomes sheet water going across the land.
Exactly. Yeah.
Seepage. Unless it's gushing.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
I have a simple question, but because I was reading the letter about the public hearing, you guys close the hearing in the same day. Can you do this at different days and public hearing?
No, you can put it on the same.
No, we close it on the same
Right, but in our right, you mentioned July or something.
They corrected
We
that one,
corrected
you
it.
had to throw it in cold.
It was done.
Yeah, we noticed it. Thank you, sir. Anything else? Thank you. So next month, we'll have the conditions of approval. Nicole will send John a list of those items so we can get finalized maps for you.
So we got 2 weeks or 3 weeks? What is that?
August
Race.
Yeah, so we don't have anything to submit to you yet. until we have
I'd
those.
advise camping out in front of the highway department on a regular basis.
So we'll have to get-
A tent would be good there.
Extension of the, in order to get all this done. Well, you got 2 weeks to the next meeting when the map notes will have to be done, whatever needs to be worked out.
Nicole sends us a list of these map notes tomorrow, as she's, I assume, prepared to, then we'll have them on for the map. when we
This
get it.
stuff is exactly the
I have
material.
I have a question about that though, since this decision is written by Liz written by CPL, technically, shouldn't she have to make the corrections and then resubmit back to us?
I mean, we can make them if you have them in a form that allows us to make them, because it's this board stuff.
No problem. She always provides the Word document, so.
Yes.
Okay. We've just never done that
We
before,
own
so I
the
just
work
wanted to make sure.
product. We pay her for the work
We just need to
Got
get
it.
it published.
So Nicole, if you send us that list, John will have new maps at the next meeting, and then we can figure out the small innuendos on the verbiage. Yes, that's what you're going, I'm going right now. That's
Technically, today is the
Right.
deadline for the
Deadline.
August 8th meeting,
We're not
but
submitting anything for the meeting, is what I'm saying.
they're not
we'll
really
just have them ready
submitting
for you
anything
sometime.
with you. This is all conditioned for the final plan.
Always my bugaboo of workshop stuff. You end up in this.
Yeah,
Don't
I
feel
mean,
that you never can catch up.
it's what the board wants.
Right, it's not, the deadline is.
So,
If the board is not satisfied with the maps, you would then have to ask the applicant for an extension of your time to decide, which, I mean, I would think you grant, because otherwise you'd say, we're not happy, and we're gonna deny it.
so what I'm hearing is you are, or you're not gonna have the maps on this meeting.
If Nicole is able to provide us with that list tomorrow, like she would normally do on a regular meeting, we will have the actual updated maps at the next meeting, even though it's not something we're submitting for review before.
We'll review them that night or whenever you get them to us.
But like, sure.
But also when you
At
do
that
that,
point, it just has to be reviewed by
But
the
if
group.
we're not,
right,
if we're not satisfied with the meeting, then we would be asking, my point, we'd be asking for an extension.
Right,
And it doesn't cover what we asked for.
correct. All we're doing is, at this point, it's all, should be,
Well, if we can get them in earlier, so
Customary.
people can take a look
So-
before the meeting.
right.
That
But we
would be
also
one
have
thing.
these agreements that have to be fleshed out as
Right.
well in that time
The
frame.
meeting.
The map notes are the local group.
right, exactly. What I'm saying is, if, right now, if we've agreed to these conditions, et cetera, of approval, we don't need to review the maps as a board. Only Bruce needs to review the maps, so we
We can
don't,
make 12 and 13.
we, the bugs are getting the verbiage correct between Mary Lou and Jeff
And Jeff.
and Jeff and Jeff and Jeff and Jeff
And done.
and John for 12 and 13, because really all we need to look at for us
That's right.
is, do we like how 12 and 13, everything else pretty much done. That's it.
Right,
Make
the
sure
other
that
typos that we noted, we can
those are-
distribute those well in advance.
And we don't really need to approve typos, they're not that really full, right? You're lucky for it. And the board. All right, go 12, go
Okay, so
13.
for the meeting, we're gonna have the revised decision then, because you have to publish it the Friday before the meeting in order to make the decision. So we'll have a revised decision that refers to, these will be map notes, and the chair won't sign until he's satisfied with the map and adjustments on the map. The 12 and 13 need to be explicit as to what it is we're asking for.
And we don't need the actual agreements.
Exactly.
They can be a condition of approval, which is very typical with road maintenance agreements.
Exactly.
That's why
So it's not as crazy as
We really
that.
don't need, exactly, we really don't need that much. Just that the problem is that you're gonna do it because you don't sign,
Yeah, I don't
you
sign
won't
anything.
sign anything until you see them and you are satisfied that 12 and 13 have been satisfied.
I guess my question is I'm not planning on bringing anything back to the board for review at the next meeting. Everything from here on out is going to be reviewed by Bruce, Mary Lou, and Jeff. Is that correct?
Except for a 12 that says,
Now, you're asking for certain things on the map before you grant an approval. I think everybody should be looking at.
Okay, so you do, okay, got it. So we do need maps for next. meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then we
And if
need
John can
a,
get us a few before it or put up on the Google Drive so everybody
Sure.
can look at them, that much quicker.
or then, and like Meredith said, we do need a 12 that says, I'm horribly paraphrasing, and a satisfactory agreement will be done by the town and blah, blah, blah. And 13, and a satisfactory agreement will be done between lot 2 and 3. So it needs to be on it that you don't sign those until you have this. And there we go, satisfactory to the attorney.
So Mary Lou, once you meet with Jeff Fry and them, do you draw up number 12's agreement between?
No,
The town, okay, we do.
no, you do. I review.
You were not a new.
Okay.
The first agreement's gonna be between the town of what they're maintaining, and the second one is between lot owners. too.
That doesn't need to be done by the next meeting.
Correct.
What needs to be done is
Yep.
the map.
Yep.
Yeah, we just need the third.
2 lines of,
Yeah.
you must give us this, and
That's much more achievable by the more effort.
right, exactly.
You'll help me, right?
No.
Otherwise, you're gonna get some weird.
I'm sure we have-
Paraphrasing. There were a couple of iterations of how that was going down.
You're at the bottom of that yellow page.
Well, we're confused on what we actually need for number 12 to provide as an agreement from the town, since the letter is coming from Jeff. That's
But the
gonna,
letter's not the agreement, they're the things.
So the agreement on the ditch that we're looking for is, we're gonna inform him of the size of that right. Yeah, he's gonna agree to that or not, right? So in that agreement, it would be, this is the size of the right of way. The town agrees to maintain this much of it or not maintain this much of it, right? And then the exceptions that he agrees to, you're not gonna put any trees, you're not gonna put any fences,
You're
you're
gonna
not
grant
gonna
an
park vehicles
easement.
there, you're not gonna bring.
You're gonna grant an easement, that's what we need, an easement to the town of that 50-foot right of way. And we need that easement to specify all the things that the property owner can't do in that right of way. And it can say it's an easement for road maintenance and drainage maintenance.
And then with the culverts, he's just gonna, again, affirm that they're good. And then we'll provide the awareness that, oh, yes, and they're good and you're maintaining them. So, right? And that also goes with the swale as well, but it's currently up to the standards that he wants to take. There's no additional one
And
necessary.
then
So,
the town.
So I guess if you look at 12 as, we're looking for the easement from the applicant for this 50-foot right of way upon which the
For road
town,
maintenance and
for
drainage
road
maintenance.
maintenance, upon which we've been concentrating on where the water is, but it also includes maintenance on the other side of the
right,
cul-de-sac.
yeah.
The entire cul-de-sac.
Yep.
For both,
It's the roadway and the cul-de-sac.
drainage maintenance.
Road maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, so it's not,
Road maintenance and.
because at this point, we don't have anything that says that they're granting. Legal that says we're granting.
Right, I mean, it is shown on
The
the
map, but
the
nothing
map, but we
in
want it to be more specific. So we get that easement, says that it's granted for road maintenance and drainage maintenance. And then you can put that the grantor agrees that there'll be no trees, no fences, no, et cetera, et cetera.
Is something like that need meets and bounds? Is that the?
It can be by meets and bounds, or it can be as referenced as shown on the map. That's equally fine. You can say this map number, blah, blah, blah. You can sign- File
Blah, blah, blah.
simultaneously.
is he good? Yeah. You good?
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Run.
All right.
I'd love to see a legal agreement that says and blah, 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 blah.
That's how we read them. That's not how we write them.
I'll bring you my pre-notes on that.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Et cetera, et cetera.
So are you guys gonna get in touch with John, or gonna wait till we?
We'll try and set something up with Jeff and, everybody involved. And
Okay.
It's the first time I can do this. And we're meeting.
So. Should be able to come through. It would be great if you had a draft of that as well. I don't know what your finding is on getting that draft. So that,
See, the trouble is I'm gonna be away next week, so I don't know how much of
That's all right.
this week.
okay. All right,
That's okay.
we don't
Again,
need to see the
it's
agreement, so, but it just,
It's a condition.
No,
Yeah,
I'll,
okay.
I'll see if I can get something.
all right.
The map seems more.
When's the next meeting?
August 8th.
You're at home. I'll be back the 6th.
Yeah.
But again, it's okay because it's gonna be a condition that we'll have 6 months to work on, but that's.
All right. With that, we're up to item number 2.
You and Zach need to unrecuse yourselves.
Welcome them back to the board.
And you join us. So at 7:31, Zach and Mark will be rejoining the board.
All right, the next item was the Gasly subdivision. It was just a minor administrative pickup last time. We were referring it to ship out for review. We didn't vote to approve.
I'll make a motion that for the Gasly application to ship out for purposes of determining any compliance to historical building at the corner of 209 and whatever the hell it is.
Boysville Road.
Yeah,
I second the motion.
All in favor?
And I just had one other thing.
Yes, we finished the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Opposed? Any absence? Nope. Okay, all right.
Can we bring the map up?
Which one then?
Gasly can. There we go. Mark Grosso, Esquire. It assured us, do you see where the road comes on to 209? I asked the question. That's not the applicant's property where it exits onto. You see the irregular nature of the property line? Yeah, thank you, Nicole, that's it. So we looked for, in the deed for some sort of an easement between the state and the applicant, allowing the road to come out onto 209. And we believe it's there.
In the deed.
The attorneys,
Okay.
the make-believe attorneys think it's there. I think we should just take a look at it and make sure.
Yeah.
We do have the deed. I don't know whether you want to bring it up. Nicole, would you want-
Well, it's not
No, let's
critical
not
for
do it
this.
now.
Let's-
Yeah.
let's-
Now, and the
let's just know.
applicant's not here.
Right. So let's,
This was really on here just for the purpose.
But it
of,
just occurred to me that it's a crazy lot line,
Right.
it doesn't border 209. So where's the easement for that?
And you know, there's a lot of
State owned.
All right.
things
So,
like that.
if you could have a look at that, man.
I
Look
would
at their
be
deed.
thrilled to look at
Oh, sure. I know it's what you live for.
that. It is.
All right, so let's move on to the zoning section.
Do you want me to approve this or not? I usually, it's nice income,
It's all opinion and freestyle.
but I don't, yeah. Trying to save the time for me.
Thank you.
So I
Appreciate
just go
that.
home. Thank
Okay,
you.
so the first local law is the setback regulation, local law E. I don't,
Bruce, where would you like me to make the notes on the red line version or the original? version?
on the red line,
On the red, line, okay.
because they've made changes to the original red line, so let's just work up with that. So, I guess we'll make this easy, you know, section 1, 140-12. As I'll walk through the letters and stop me if you have a comment on it. So on section A, anybody comment? B, C?
Wait,
Oh,
so you said-
oh, I'm sorry.
Part of the road frontage with no registered yet service requirement for forward is to show supersede the yard safety plan. My question is, where the, so it's not, it doesn't exist yet?
Yes, we have overlay. It's like the AP overlay, flood protection
Aquifer
overlay,
protection,
right.
aquifer protection. We already have those exist.
It's listed there, it's the, setback.
I think what you're asking is, are there any specific setbacks
Setback, is that-
as part of those overlays? I don't know.
Not,
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Well, you have a flood protection setback from the flood protection. So if that happened to be at the edge of the yard,
And,
then that would
so
apply.
consider-
I think this is written this way so that if we ever did make other changes to the overlay zone that had specific setbacks.
This would cover.
This covers it. It needed to be general in case we're all dead and they make a gazillion new.
And,
overlays.
and another, I mentioned suggestion, because at the top of the chapter, even though the specifics of yard setback, this schedule of district regulation, chapter 140, attachment 1. It doesn't say anywhere that if you want to see setback, and also specific, you have to go to the chapter 140. It's, I think it's oversight of the code.
I'm not
I'm not
sure.
following you at all.
Okay, at the top of the chapter,
The new chapter that we're.
add a note, yeah, added a note, specifics of yard setbacks, see schedule of district regulation, chapter 140, attachment 1.
That's because in each zoning district, there is a setback for that district. So if you're an R1, it's 10 feet.
All right,
If you're
right.
an AR3, it's
But
25.
nobody knows that unless they go to the attachment 1. What I'm saying
Attention
is-
one is 140.
Yeah, right, but somewhere before,
But we're in 140.
Right, we're in.
We're in 140. You don't have to go to, it, you're in it.
okay, so.
You have to do some homework, it's like doing a chart.
No, but let's say go
Yeah, go to
to
the
chapter-
right space.
to attachment 1 for specific setbacks for each zoning.
All right, you can send it as
That's-
a, I don't know if you're able, this is from Mary Lou shouldn't have left.
Right.
If you're able to do things like that in this kind of law,
Ah,
it's very much, a lot of the things that you like to make it friendly and nice.
But
You
it's not
just
what
can't,
everybody else.
you just can't do.
So we're just commenting on the document. So if our comment on the document is, we would like to see a comment that makes it more friendly and directs the user to the schedule of district regulations, let's make that comment.
Yep.
And that's fine. We're not looking to change it. We're just looking to
Yeah,
comment
that's
on
not my point, because
So-
as a new board member, I was wondering, okay, where are the
it.
setbacks?
Sure, right. Nobody knows to go to to
Yeah.
the back of this book and
Nowhere
start
in the
looking.
code.
Nobody does, right? You discover that the third year you're doing stuff, right?
Now, the
So-
difficult, okay, I am gonna be devil's advocate here.
Okay.
The difficulty you're gonna have to have, Joanne,
Mhm.
you're going to have to say that in every single one of our sections. You can't just say here for yard setback, you now need to go look at the schedule of district regulations. It needs to be at the very beginning of the law to say that, because what you're asking for here, everything we're gonna review, you're gonna say, and please look at the schedule of district regulations for revenue.
No, I
And please
understand.
look at the, so you can't really do it here.
Somewhere in the top.
Okay.
Which
May-
one you
may
need
have
to the very
got
big-
Let's not worry about where, let's just worry about the comment to the board, which
somewhere
is,
on the top.
we would like to see this be a little more
Cleaner.
right, and have referrals to the
Right,
appropriate.
and when
section.
they write law, they write it and they give you the information and they say, see section,
Right,
blah, 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 for.
so let's put in this,
Where would you like?
in A, right at the top. It said, there should be a reference to where the setback regulations are.
Where it's on.
Right,
I was somewhere
Yeah,
else.
that's fine.
I didn't have time to analyze.
Yeah. all right, you got it?
No, sometimes Google doesn't.
I know, it's being weird. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so
So
you're
the
saying,
planning board recommends a reference be provided to where the user can find, I don't know.
Or in the existing.
Yeah, I think that
setback.
exists. at the beginning of the code.
I do, but. Okay,
reference be provided to find existing, what?
to find the schedule of or the reference to the schedule of district regulation. Or the final schedule of district regulation.
Zoning district regulation.
Okay, that would be helpful. Yeah, okay. That was So we're up to C. Anybody have any comments on C?
On C3.
Yeah.
There is a typo, industrial is written both. Twice.
Yep, in the last line.
Facing another industrial I, industrial I.
Get rid of the second line.
Industrial and
Delete
I.
repeated
need to
word.
be- We're not rapping about.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on C?
So just a clarification on C3 line. Does the I zoning district front, rear, and side is 20 feet setback?
May
Currently?
be reduced, no, it is not.
Only in the exception category. This is exceptions only.
What do you mean exceptions?
Or in
Right.
it's only for when there's an
Yes,
exception.
the yard setback exception, so these now are an exception. So in a I district, if someone has the I district, that would be handled with the regular setbacks are, I think it's 50, okay? If you have an I zone to another I zone, it could be reduced to 20.
Got it.
Because that way you can push your density closer within your industrial areas. And if you've got a warehouse facing a warehouse, as long as you have enough room for fire and stuff to get through, we thought it would be better to compact all of your industrial together because a warehouse facing a warehouse.
So although I agree, why would we adjust the front setback?
Because across,
Regardless if they're next to each other or across the street, why would we want them close to the road? My concern is 20 on the side, 20 on the back, no problem.
It-
But I think the yard setback off the front should still maintain our code. I don't think there should be an exception.
yeah, just take it out. I agree.
Why would we want the setback off the road?
I think right now it's 100.
It's 100 feet for non-residential and 35 for residential.
In I district?
Yeah. It's 100 feet.
So then why would we ever want to make it closer?
Well, it would seem like 20 is too close.
Right, I agree. I would say that maybe that number should be 50.
Or just take it out entirely, keep the front setbacks as they are.
And
Just
and
take
just
front out.
decide.
Just
But
decide.
the only thing I could find is it's business friendly, that you're driving down the road, you're able to see what.
But that would be in a business district, not an industrial.
Right.
No,
It's the same, yes, but it's the same, kind. It's still a commercial operation.
Maybe what it was, maybe
And
what
then
it was.
it's sort of free advertising, right? If you're
Sure.
close to That,
Okay.
I-
So
I
would
can't,
you
I don't know
agree-
what the board was, the ZRC was thinking when they were doing it. but
I guess my concern is I just don't like 20. I think that's too close. Maybe 50.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just trying to
Yeah, that makes
justify.
sense.
Once you figure that
Yeah,
out,
kick it out.
altogether.
I think that 100 maybe is too much.
Mara, were they thinking about it?
No, in an exception, we're talking about just exceptions. So right now it's 100.
So this is
Reducing it to 50.
only if. So now you have the front also. This is, your front typically is defined by your road access. This would mean only if this side of the road is industrial and this side of the road is industrial. So both of them, so if it's a residential, you couldn't get anything, any leeway. If it's commercial, you couldn't get any leeway. There's two I zones. So if in an I zone here, we don't really have any, in reality, and an I zone here, two I zones facing each other, you could go closer. So that way you're not using up so much land
Right.
for warehouses and I zones. You make your I zones packed. So that's why the front was left in there. So if the I zone is facing any other zone, you can't do any of this.
There's no exception.
There's no exception whatsoever. It's only I zone facing I zone. So that's
But
where,
I can think of two where they cross each other right now on Samson Road. That, I don't know if I'd want it to be in 20 feet. I think that's too close.
is the, where the curve is there, is I on the other side?
So what do you propose? What do you think?
I mean, I think that a 50-foot setback in all of our other districts is realistic. I think that it is in this one too.
Everybody feel comfortable with?
I personally would say just stay front out, leave the front
At a
at 100. Do the front at 100. We have so few I zones. Like, I pull up the map,
And
We have-
where we have them in years, that one
Yeah.
on Samsonville, we just did with the gray property, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's industrial, it's all residential. but it's all-
it's industrial because there was a hope that it would connect through the roads
Right.
that go in back and you make a whole big industrial
So are we
area.
more comfortable with striking it or more comfortable with shortening?
I vote for striking it, just take front out instead of.
Everybody okay?
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Can I just clarify, is this C3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we're just getting rid of from.
Just get rid of front and keep the side and the.
So, 4, I think. we come from. Section D. E.
I just have a minor thing, and this is a new one, or rather, it's a real extension where it's been expanded. In paragraph 1, in the middle of it, it says water bodies with a surface area, isn't it 12 acres or less? Shouldn't it be 12 acres or less, not 10 acres or less?
This is directly copied, so can I put a question? Just put a parenthesis, is it 10 or 12 level check?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was 12.
This is,
Well, because it talks about less than 10, it's referring to anything more than 12 is covered by the DEC, 12.1 actually, 12.4. So if it's 12.4 or better, is considered DEC wetland, and 12.4 or less is what this should say.
I agree. Whatever that number is.
Whatever that number is.
So is the 10 trying to supersede the DEC's 12 so that it's a smaller piece that we're concerned about?
Oh. Let me read it.
So in other words, we're getting more stringent?
this,
No,
is-
it's talking
this was
about,
not written by the ZRC, this is in our
Okay.
code as it is right now.
So it's,
This is a cut and paste that exists in another part of our code.
okay.
That is how we define, if you go into, I believe,
So I'm saying,
aquifer. So this is why this is so difficult, just say double check acreage, or whatever, it'll need to be changed from the other place in our code.
yeah, so is the intent 12 or is the intent is really the question?
And
right.
then that means our existing
That's-
code needs
that's-
to be, our existing code needs to be changed. This is our existing code.
Okay.
This is not written, this is in
Right,
our
so,
code right now.
so it's 12 in our existing.
no,
No, it's this,
the
this
DEC rule. is
number,
12.
right,
Right,
exactly.
okay.
Number 1, as you see it here, is exactly in our code
Got it.
elsewhere. It was repeated here for the
Right,
clarity.
so if they change it to 12, it's got to
It's gotta
change it
be
up.
changed everywhere.
This
So
is,
note
yeah,
that
this is just reflecting.
It's changed to 12, but that's
State or DEC environmental rules are.
I see what you're saying.
And I'm just questioning. I don't think it's.
And maybe they did do, I have no idea, because this was written by previous whatever, maybe we wanted it more stringent or not, I'd make it like 1 acre personally, but
Make it what? I'm sorry.
I make it 1 acre personally, but, this is exactly how our code is right now, to make sure, as Dorian always says, you see it again here, because that's where it is elsewhere. So there's no thought behind it,
So just need a clarity 10 would.
and if it's changed here, you better change it elsewhere, or you're gonna have to.
Right, so she's knowing that. All right,
You guys can all see this like in real time on Google Drive, the comments that are making.
No.
You should be able to.
anything else on E?
Yeah.
No?
That I have.
Yep, oh, sorry.
E2.
I can see the comment.
Okay,
E2,
thank you.
it's 300.
The first time we're doing this, and so.
Okay, cool. Hold on, Zorian's got the floor, let's,
E2, at the end of paragraph, as defined on paragraph 140, 16D. But 16D doesn't define. 16D says something about,
What's the high water mark code?
it's a ban. 16D.
146.
That's because 14016 doesn't exist right now. That's what we're looking at when we get to.
No, I understand, but when you go there to 16D, it's the definition. of ban.
No, if you go to the new 16D,
Right, right,
that I'm
right.
gonna read this tonight, it says D is definitions. So 16D
Is the ban,
is.
So they're defining
definition.
it.
They're defining it.
just the ban.
If you pull
No,
up
it's all the
E code,
definition.
yeah, if you pull up E code, you type in 140-16.
No,
it's right there.
I'm for the definition.
Right. so D is part of the definition.
And it's referring to the high water mark of any beach of any stream as defined in 14016D. So you would go to the definition of high water mark, you would go to the definition of.
Ah, okay, I'm sorry, I took it as a view on the ban, but continuous.
Okay, all right, good. No, good try.
Okay, and E3, the planning board in the course of other review shall however be authorized. My question is, what is other review? Could it be defined a little more specifically? What is other review?
I think it should be another review. In the course of another review, shall be authorized to modify this requirement if necessary.
Right, so
If it comes to the planning board,
we don't review 140, right? So that's why it would be other review, right?
oh, I see.
Well, we do review our board.
Not from a variance perspective, right?
No, from a planning board perspective.
Yes,
we
we do,
review one
absolutely.
board.
But not, somebody's not gonna come to us and say 140, right? They're gonna come to us with, I have a site plan, I have a,
And so this is saying the planning board, and of course, if Mark's point is good, of course, another review, I think, of course, any of their reviews.
I would say any, right?
It's semantic, it's authorized to modify this requirement where necessary, because this exists in our code, this is in black.
Yep.
It was just saying the planning board shall however be authorized, we tried to make it clearer to people, we could take all of that out, Dorian, and just make it the planning board shall be authorized to modify this requirement. That's what it is, existing.
Bingo.
Done.
Other reviewers we don't.
So you just take out the,
It actually was good how it was. Planning board shall be authorized to modify the requirement.
I think the difficulty was people look at that, this was back to Dorian's problem and think, oh, the planning board, did you tell me to do this? They're authorized to do it. People don't realize we have to be reviewing something.
Right.
To do it. So it's,
Exactly.
we're reviewing something to modify something. We can't just turn up and say, hey, guess what? I'm a planning board member.
So
I
it's
want to
saying
modify that.
the planning board in the course of any review shall be authorized, correct?
So is that the only change, change other to any?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay, E4, just comments to me, seems to me creates subject to kind of basically opening can of worms of arguments. Given a lot of latitude. Yeah. And this is the state period, this buffer area maybe.
Why do they want to change that? What,
Yeah.
so why would you want to put that in?
Because I think it's basically saying that we have the right, depending on if the soil and erosion sediment control comes back, where there's not going to be any disturbance, then we have the right to reduce from 100 to 50 if we want, which we probably never will.
But I think of it this way, if you have a very steep rock cliff and the person wants to get 50 because you're really going to get no sediment, nothing going in. Say, you know what, you can go closer because you don't have any riparian buffers, you don't have any animals, you don't have et cetera. It's just sort of concrete going up there. Or conversely, if somebody has, like you talk about the shearing that Watchwater has, if somebody has something, but it really has a very deep riparian, full of frogs, animals, whatever, would say actually, and very swampy, we could say actually, in your case, guys, you need more
I was going to say,
in the 100. We can give you another 50, if you 150
right, so we have the right to increase it up to 50 and decrease it.
and decrease it. Because some stream banks are very solid, you can go closer, and some stream banks are, my yard is a mess, you need to go farther.
I think
So-
having the discretion is nice.
So I think having the
Yeah,
discussion.
I understand what, I guess a sort, maybe certain conditions, provided certain conditions.
Well, you-
Well, I think sometimes it's intentionally vague,
Yeah.
so that if
Yes.
it held to certain conditions, then there's spells out grounds for objection to it later.
Yep. It's supposed to be vague. You don't like vague, you're an engineer. You
Yeah.
gotta sound
Yeah.
like a lawyer.
I agree with you, though,
Yeah,
because I understand why it says this way.
Yeah.
But Dorian's correct, because.
given discussion so much for planning board.
Open up, as you said, a can of worms, because then you're gonna have potentially continuous discussion as to, well, how much room are we allowed? And you're right in that the conditions can be modified, but I think both are like.
But they still have to be justified. You can't just arbitrarily say, hey, we're increasing you 50 feet. You know,
Well,
you're
but
gonna
my
have to-
point is the applicant can come in and start asking for more and more on the basis of that particular note.
That's true. And
They may or may not be justified, and then we're gonna have to
And
go
that's our
through it
judgment.
and do the extra work.
Which is sort of how we do everything now anyway. I mean, where's the difference, Patrick? That's why you have a wetland specialist come and you have the threatened and endangered species come,
the
And-
ECC.
the DEC and everything come
Okay.
to say,
Yep.
justify that you want that 50% closer,
Mhm.
do the studies, show everything, and if you can prove your ground is okay to go closer, great, we'll grant it. Or or not.
They got a certain condition.
Because it's sort of commercial.
I think it's fairly, it does say, provided that the water quality from the impacts of erosion and sedimentation will not be compromised. So that's a pretty clear guideline.
I'm okay with giving a little bit of an adjustment. When we get to the wetlands, there's some pretty clear criteria for increasing it or not, having to do with whether or not there's a steep slope, whether it's part of the FD overlay, the floodplain overlay. In fact, it even says that you can make the riparian buffer and setback buffer, which are defined separately here. You can make them a lot bigger than the 50 feet that they're defined as if there's an FD overlay, if they're in the FD overlay district. You could make it the size of the FD overlay district, essentially, which you're probably not going to do because that might mean the whole property is.
All right, let's
So I'm
focus on,
I'm
yeah,
okay with it.
we're gonna get to the, right, all right, so that's sort of 4. Anything else on
E11,
11? Okay.
it says white top, that's my question, white top of greenback, what is green is on flat land?
Well, there's always a stream bank, it's just defined.
Right, but white top,
What would
Well,
you
the
want
bottom
to
of
say?
the steep green bank is in the stream.
Wait, are we on number 11?
Yes.
E11.
E11. Tree cutting within
Tree cutting
25.
within 25 feet.
That means all the trees within 25 feet, from 25 feet in from the top of the bank, all the way to the bank edge and down to the stream itself. You can't cut any trees. That's what it said. Do you want to change that? You wanna-
What my question is, why it has to be top? Could we just greenback and you have a tree?
Because that's just the way it's written, Victoria, and the way that it's written.
There may be that much of a
Right.
distance from the stream to the top, or there could be 10 feet to the top. It's just,
The streams are all very different.
Yeah.
Is there a definition for top of a stream bank?
Yeah.
It's the,
in the definition section within the wetland.
there is not.
But it doesn't have to tree cutting. We're limiting tree cutting, not necessarily top of the tree, bank. It could be flat.
That's still, you still have a top of stream bank, even if it's flat. No matter what you do, in stream biology, you still have a top of stream.
Yeah, okay.
Or otherwise,
Some
it's
cases
small.
we don't do.
How does the top of a stream bank differ from the high water?
Because the high water mark could be,
High
The high
water
water
mark is
marks
where
are
the,
bigger.
high water mark is where the vegetation begins. Right, that's the definition of the high water mark. What's the definition of top of stream?
I thought high water mark is, in the case of a flood, how
Nope.
high is the water?
It's not.
Well, we don't
We had
define,
this,
Through.
we
we had
say
this research that we had to do.
We do.
So,
Okay, we define on
high water mark.
section 608.
So, yeah, are they both defined?
Defined by the DEC, it doesn't mean.
right. I
I put the
would
high
just make the
water
note,
mark.
how does top of stream differ from high water?
I put the high water mark was the highest point, which the lake and beach, and it could include that.
No, that's
Exactly.
what I thought.
That's what I thought too.
I did too.
It's where the vegetation.
So
But if you had a variance on this, you learned it well. Well, how about this? The note there is just to say, make sure in definitions, top of stream and high water mark are both defined. That answers the question.
the high water mark is defined, I'll read it to you, as defined in section 608.1R of 610Y So they refer back to the
Yeah.
DGC.
Right.
And our definition of, what was the other thing?
Top of bank.
Then, bank is defined, but that's it.
Bank is lateral
There's no top
confined,
of bank.
Yeah, I think it should. Okay,
lateral confined.
We're not defining it right now, that's,
all right.
we're gonna be here till 4 in the morning.
Right.
right?
F. We'll get to the F.
Yes.
Okay. Section 2, severability, that's legal stuff. And the effective date.
Yes, I don't have any comments on it at all.
All right.
It's with agricultural
Just
use.
agriculture.
I said no comment also, I have nothing.
I like the idea that you're including more districts.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant F, section F in local law E.
Oh,
Now if we're moving to section F.
Just a quick question,
Yeah.
just because this is the first time we're doing it this way, so.
Right.
Since you guys have all come up with the comments and I'm putting them on here, will I, after this meeting, then compile these comments into a letter?
Yeah, we usually.
We'll
On
send-
behalf
yeah.
of,
I'll
the
I'll
planning
draft a letter that you'll send me attached with these comments in one.
okay, because I think the only way, Aaron, you have access, right?
We just have to give them access to these comments.
We can send them a copy.
Send them copies.
We'll send them one.
I don't know how it works on the Google Drive is what I'm asking.
So.
You have to have
you wanna
access?
send the Google, document with comments.
It'll send the comments with,
Just change it.
When you save these documents, the comments are saved.
Right.
So you just save it as, save this document as planning board referral. And then when we will send
You just do a
five
generic letter.
PDFs along with the letter. and we'll be good.
my question is just because I'm doing it right on the Google Drive.
Right.
And I'm not as familiar with,
Just save it now. When you go to save.
it saves automatically.
Right, so.
Oh,
What
was
you
it?
have to, wait, what you have to do, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna take what you're working on, you're gonna resave it as a different,
Title.
as a different title, a different something, what you're doing right there. And we'll have our live one that you've now doctored up, but you'll save it as either a Word document or a PDF, totally outside of this,
Yeah, exactly.
in a different, out of Google Drive. You get it out of Google Drive,
Yeah, okay.
get it out of Google.
And I have the original saved.
Yeah,
so can
I
send
have
you
the,
back.
okay.
Right.
It'll be under download. When you go in the
Exactly.
Drive, you go
Mhm.
file and then download,
Whereas
when you're in the document.
Right.
Oh, when you're
Yeah,
in
go in the
the,
document,
So
where,
you have to open it.
open Google Docs.
Yes. You have to do it.
Google Docs is like,
I'm sorry.
no, that's,
Okay.
Google Drive is-
It
I'll
is-
be
this
the one
stuff is-
explaining how to.
right, go into file, up in the,
Wait, we need to find a balance
Or
first.
make sure the comments in there.
And I don't think we need to-
They're not there.
What's-
The comments.
show more, oh, they're not showing you mine.
Nicole, top right corner, see where the down arrow is? Oh, next to
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
That should let you download that?
Yeah.
And will that let you open it in a PDF with the comment?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
yes,
so
okay.
great.
Thank
Somebody who
you.
actually works with it.
Perfect. I just wanted to, before we got too deep into it, I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to
I
make
think
sure.
Right, you don't want to lose all the work.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
No problem. Okay,
Excellent.
so now let's move to F if we're ready, which is local law amending chapter 140 agricultural use.
I just have one generic comment on this whole entire law. Why A10 and not AR10? Is there a reason?
We don't have an AR-10, that's.
We don't have an A10 either, and we're making it.
Right, and so,
In an ag district, normally we use the preface AR. I'm just
That's a
asking,
But
very-
they have to.
that's fine.
so could
And
A10,
then AB is agricultural.
yeah, but AR10 could be, of course it could.
So,
But I wouldn't put that in here, I put that in bigger generic,
It's just a generic
When you-
question on the
when you-
whole law.
on the whole law, when you make it
A10, why?
an A10, or you just change it to AR.
We have so many different naming conventions,
so
I
let's
feel like we're.
send that along.
Oh, to put a note,
You make that a note, like a,
why not maybe R10?
yeah, that's more in the letter. Exactly, right.
Okay.
Isn't that the county that does the
She wants
agricultural district?
I don't want to be.
No, I think.
But Aaron, would you
I
like to
think
join
we're
us at the
speaking
table?
Yeah.
Because, well, the reason I'm,
will.
Q&A.
The reason I'm saying that is because this isn't a public hearing. And by us continuing to ask you questions, we're really out of bounds.
Yeah, I was only trying to know.
That was a
We're
technical
always
question.
allowed to ask a town board member for their input and expertise, even if it's not a public hearing.
Then that's why I'm saying
So
she
she
joins us at the table.
Big table. Nobody else is here. It's a
No.
big,
I don't want to,
Nice share.
I don't want to.
all right, we will ask, we
Violate.
will ask you no more.
I will keep my mouth.
Okay, so let's just make a note on why the naming convention A10 and not AB10, AR10,
Right.
AI10. And it could be, Nicole, when you get a response, that they just didn't want it as residential, which is fine, but maybe we can get that clear.
So you're referring to 140 district.
I'm referring to
No,
the
it's
whole
not
entire
the whole
law.
Everything,
We have
nothing specific.
B districts, AB districts, AR districts, why just A?
Okay, so I have nothing on.
I have nothing either.
I have nothing either. Anybody have anything on that?
I know, I have a J5 version.
Which one?
J5. It's unclear for me, what is the street line? Is it right of way line or edge of the road? Where is it finished?
If you go into our definitions in 140 and see if we defined it,
140 dash what?
and go into E code,
Just have it
Yeah,
through.
I'm on the code, this way.
type in street line.
It's 140-4, 105. The average distance from the street line of a lot to the rear lot line. Definition,
So in the definition.
not to include the street or road.
But
right
what
of
is,
way.
what is street line?
So the average distance from the street line of a lot to the rear lot line of such lot, not to include the street or road right of way. How I read that means everything in the form of a lot without the road.
I was looking for it.
So you're quite, all you have to zero in it is define street line. Tell them
Right.
to define street line.
Define
Yeah,
street
okay,
line.
fine, just go.
Add street line to,
How do you understand, how do you understand people?
I don't really care, I should just define street line and then we'll find.
All right, so let's move on to animal husbandry. Yep, animal husbandry. Okay.
What is that, J?
G. Oh, wait, there's a red line and a red line, correct? Okay, I'm on the correct. one.
I have a simple comment.
Sure.
Title of the law says local law ends.
Oh,
Yeah, just
No, it's a Copenhagen.
Well, I think they're doing A, yeah, A, B, C.
Because they're on
D,
A, B, C, D, yeah.
F, G, something.
So basically, when they submit document, they need to come.
Mentioned that like 2 months ago.
Me?
I remember receiving an email from Barry. saying
Ah,
that,
it was
yeah.
email, yeah.
I'm good. Okay, so my comment is on E.
Yeah.
3.
Well, before you go, I have
Oh.
E1,
I have a one.
there's an extra and,
Yeah, exactly. Animal and.
animal and shall,
serving.
get rid of the.
Third line, third word.
Okay, can we go to 3? Okay.
Yeah.
I
that's
think
what we all call
in
it.
3, the second line there shall not be located less than.
Oh, it shall be located no less than. Shall be located no less than.
And it's
So,
100 feet.
Shall be located
Yeah.
no
It
less
is-
than? Wait,
Shall we say?
what are we, I'm sorry. there was a-
Where you see the setback. Shall be located no less than, not less than, not less than means you put all your animals right on the road.
Gotcha,
It was just,
Get rid of the two in that.
yes.
and then if previously was 100 feet, and this got changed to 50 feet. So I personally think 100 feet is better for animals and people not to get angry at the neighbors.
Yeah, but your setbacks are.
This would be more than a setback. If you have an animal enclosure, You have your regular setback.
Right.
Of 50, but the animal enclosure would have to be, maybe,
Another 50?
I mean, I'm 6 and 1/2 dozen the other on it. That's,
Patrick's comment.
If you go back to the farming, the one we just skipped through, it said was good, there's 100 feet.
Right.
From the property line to the fence line for stock.
and that's what it was in both, which is the problem, and the town board changed it to 50, the zoning review at 100 for both.
Wait, the other one is in the file, it says 100.
Right.
So, but you do bring up a point. So that means your building barn where you're gonna house your animals still has to be 100 feet off the
Setback, off the property line.
But it said fence lines. If you go into the not this one, if you go into the agricultural.
Yeah.
You know, I have fence line. And so I was reading that part and it said that the fence line had to be 100 feet from the property line. I believe that, if I remember that correctly.
Is fence line?
No, go ahead. No, make it go.
Is the fence line for this purpose different than any other?
Well, it's
fence?
an electric
Because
fence.
Well,
Can a fence be right on the property line?
Sure, but it
According
could
to
also
code
not.
enforcement?
No, but it's specifically in the agricultural one.
Yeah.
It mentioned that you had to have a certain amount.
So there is a
That's right.
specification
From
for,
the property line to where
That's
you
right.
have your animal.
So
Okay.
no animals shall be housed or enclosed within 200 feet of the existing neighbor residential structure or within 100 feet of the property boundary.
Right.
So that means
this
you're
is-
moving your barn. If you're building a new barn, so you have a pre-existing condition, right?
Yeah, the paddock, the fenced in paddock,
Where's the,
according to that should be.
Yeah, I see
100.
50. Where are you showing me? It says all animal enclosures, stable buildings, pens, feedlots, corrals, manure storage areas, other areas where animals are populated, except for grazing paddocks, shall be located not less than 50 feet from any adjoining property line. And then the new one also, this is for animal husbandry, and it's now changed to 50 also for the other ones. They're both consistent in what I'm pulling up.
No. 100 feet.
yeah, this is.
Why do I want this as 50?
But I got one that says 100.
So I don't know how I have it.
So
so
One I
there
read said 100.
there was.
what do you have? up
They-
there?
There
This
was
is-
a
The
red
red
line and then there was a red line corrected that was
Exactly.
also.
The
there.
corrected red line is the 50.
The corrected says
They're
50.
both consistent at 50 feet corrected.
So they're both, so now you can have your housing and enclosure within 50 feet of the property boundary?
That's what we have received as the corrected for both.
And what about with the neighboring residential structure?
We don't do
We don't
anything
talk
to
about
the neighboring residential.
Well, no, it says no animals shall be housed or enclosed within 200 feet of the
Yeah.
existing neighboring residential structure
What
or
number-
100
what
feet of the
number is that?
property boundary.
Where are you?
Where are you?
G3. Has that been taken out of
Yep,
G3?
it's out. I don't see that anywhere in,
I don't see a G.
In
number.
animal
In animal husbandry.
Yeah, there's nothing
Right.
under G.
and there's nothing under.
All
G.
right, so that,
I see it
so
under
Pat,
E.
maybe you and I will work it out
E3.
the wrong.
So you
Okay.
need to pull up the corrected one.
I have
It says red line
Yeah,
corrected,
corrected.
7-7.
Yeah.
There's
nothing-
nothing G that
Oh.
says that.
Right.
Oh, good.
I have
That's
one
all
where
done.
G says animal husbandry and practice before the adoption.
Yeah.
Chapter.
That's it.
That's
the
the
correct-
correct- so
that's the
correct.
good one. So you guys are working off stale document.
So it's great then, because it's not in there at all. They took it
Right.
out.
Yeah, that's more, I
So
think that's. more
G
reasonable.
is not there.
The only G, go back to your, the beginning and find animal husbandry red line corrected 7-7. Are you on that one?
I'm there.
All right, well, G is now animal husbandry in practice before the adoption of this chapter shall be deemed a non-conforming use with respect to the minimum lot size requirement. The rest of the stuff is on.
But, did you discuss E, for example?
E1.
Yeah, E3 or E.
We just talked about.
We just talked about E3 and changed it.
200 feet, 100 feet.
You
No,
want-
it's still.
The only change was it shall be located no less than 50 feet.
No less, yeah. No less.
Oh. So it's a machine. Okay.
Do they still, so in the corrected version, is there still a
The corrected, the
Go
correct,
back to E.
no, E
Okay,
three
E3, we changed this.
does not need
Let
to
me
be,
finish my
it
question.
does not need to
first.
be corrected.
Is it corrected for- Is there still an E?
Yes.
200.
Yes, the numerates the number. That's,
I
Yes.
don't know where you got that.
E9
But I-
and it
Okay.
1
so
through
this is
7
How do you-
under 9.
I don't
I'm sorry,
understand the,
Patrick, what?
I don't understand the comment that, hang on,
Nicole, I think your notes still
Yeah.
wrong.
I don't think it's right.
It should be not located, shall not be located. I think the way it's seen, reading to me is that you gotta put it closer to 50 feet.
Is it just worded weird, like?
Yes, it's worded.
In general?
In general.
I think it's right as it's presented. Shall be located
No
not
less-
less.
No less than,
Not less than 50 feet.
right,
If
not
I was
less-
reading not less than 50 feet, that means that they want me to put it within 10 feet of my neighbor.
No, no,
No.
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 Fancy, they want to
No.
build it 51.
51,
in
right.
51.
I think
Sorry.
not
Okay.
should be changed to no.
That's what I had.
Right,
Or at least
All right.
50 feet.
right,
Shall be-
okay.
Okay. at least.
Anything else on the animal, on the,
Yeah, I just have a question.
So that was,
In,
I'm just gonna
in
cancel.
F number 3, if I'm reading from the right version, in all zoning districts where a parcel has less than one acre,
Oh.
no large food animals shall be permitted, not that, with the exceptions of, where the heck is 140-14.1, 3,
Exactly,
through J,
exactly, that is not three, because the
remaining
AD,
in force, I don't,
I think that's
No, no, no.
customary. Probably.
I think the
141,
A to D is
3.
wrong.
no, AD is correct, 3 is not there.
The 3.
Where are you?
I'm
I am-
above the J,
Are we on 140 at 14
We're on
Wayne?
animal husbandry.
Thank you.
number F, 3,
It is a reference.
the last, hang on, sorry, let me put this up. The last couple of words of that sentence says, with the exceptions of 140.14.1, paren 3, paren A through D.
If you take out the paren 3, A through D, I think is what.
Right, right. Three gets to be taken out.
Yeah, I think they mean C in the 3, and A through D is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that reference needs to be fixed.
I don't know what it's.
Just to
referencing.
have, they need to fix it. It should reference.
We don't
Okay.
understand, we don't understand this reference. What are you?
There is no
referring
reference.
to? I don't know.
Please review and correct reference.
Yes.
Okay, what?
We done with, this one?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move to, I.
H.
I'm sorry. H. Let's let
It's just
Nicole
a-
catch
it's a
up.
new
Where's
one.
the wetlands?
This is your.
Yeah, I like
Where's the
it.
document? Oh, it is the,
There are a few,
Is it
it
in
says
the-
public hearing, but it's the document.
Okay, it's just,
Yeah, yeah, it's
That's-
like, what is it?
that's how it was said.
something like this, which is new, I think you're gonna find out that you might, as you continue to apply, you're gonna find some things that don't work, but the way it's, the only piece I'm confused with is actually well into the document in section,
Papa bank in there.
Oh, yeah.
Bank Papa.
it says, in the
Oh.
definition of the word,
I looked under T. I'm sorry.
the definition of the
So
word
do I
wet.
need to- Sorry.
Definition of the words went over my head. Definition of the word wetlands.
Under W for real estate.
Under W for wetlands, before V for vernal pool. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of that paragraph, the following criteria shall be used to determine the presence of hydrophytic vegetation, hydric soils, and hydrological indicators.
And there's nothing.
There is no criteria, so I suggest all these 3 things aren't part of the definition. So the following
I agree.
The following items shall be used to determine the presence of, no. it needs to be reworded to say, hydrophytic vegetation, hydric soils, and hydrological indicators are used to determine wetlands. These terms are defined elsewhere in this section.
So
So I think you should start with
the following criteria so that you could determine
the presence of wetlands,
what,
semicolon, hydrophytic vegetation, hydric soils, and hydrological indicators, period. These three terms are defined elsewhere in this section under definitions. So the following criteria shall be used to determine the presence of wetlands, colon, hydrophytic vegetation, hydric soils, and hydrological indicators, period. These three terms are defined elsewhere within the definitions in this section, something like that. I know what they were saying, but it wasn't.
my big thing on this one is it's so big, like Rick said, like you have so many. Does it mesh with everything else? Is it contrasting, et cetera? To get like Ingrid Hagel to look at it or send it to somebody.
He did send it up to Ulster County, and they've commented and sent it back comments on it.
Okay, but that's, is that Ulster County Planning or not Ulster County
You gave me
Planning?
the name of the.
We
company.
need DEC. We're talking somebody that makes this kind
No,
of,
Brian, what's the drum?
He's a field guy.
he's a field guy
We
now.
need somebody, the technological guys in the office to find.
Right, but Ingrid Hakel, or whatever her name is, I think she always does.
Yeah, she's,
She always does this stuff. She drafted a lot of these laws. So it's the people that have helped people draft laws. I don't know if she's necessarily the one, but I think the key thing
good
is
comment.
send this to somebody at DEC who spent a lot of time
Right.
drafting these laws.
That's, yeah,
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I like the fact that there's, riparian buffer, there's two buffer zones now, and they're additive, they've gone to 100. One is riparian for 50, and the other is setback for 50. There are different things prohibited in each of those. In the riparian, there's larger prohibitions, in the setback, there's not as much prohibition, but it does say that we have overlay zones that actually the riparian and the setbacks could increase in size if there's other stuff going on there, or not.
Which,
But-
that, exactly,
But
that's,
then I got kind of lost, so it's gonna be tough for the planning board to evaluate some of these applications. So it would be good to have someone who could be.
Exactly.
Look at this,
that's,
to say,
exactly.
this is usable, or you need to,
This is not usable, it's gonna be too difficult to implement,
or
or,
here's a different set of words. you can use to make it usable.
right, so
we
the, so the
should-
mark is send it off to a subject matter expert.
To
exactly,
ensure.
So this
exactly,
is within the letter,
within the
you're
letter, yeah.
requesting
Yeah,
comment from,
Subject
Exactly,
matter.
subject matter, because it's, this
And
is
preface it with, in general,
the whole thing.
most of us, we like it.
yeah.
Unless you don't, then just.
I
No,
mean,
I
I actually, I mean, this was a comment, I went to the information center, Lauren was there also. There's a lady in the audience who said exactly that, said, have you guys hired somebody who's an expert in doing this kind of stuff? Because I think it's a good idea. I mean, having this go to some, when they all get through the public hearings and the change and everything, and when it's all said and done, run it by somebody who does this for a living.
Like a
because
town planner?
Town planner.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
No, I wouldn't even give it to a town planner. I would
No.
give it to an expert.
Let that person look at it and say, this needs to go to this person directly, this
And
department.
or send it to somebody like.
Technical
like
writer.
Sony, that's Sony.
I think we're in heated agreement on this one. Let's
Yes.
move on to I.
where was
I have a question about it.
Sure.
The subject of the law is so critical. Why the penalty for violation so low, 200? Is that per day or total?
Zorin, that's one to have Mary Lou.
Okay.
Because I don't think you can, and I'm speaking totally out of order here, it seems very hard, it always like 250. That seems what everybody just starts with everything at, it's somehow if you put these really big, whatever fines, the DEC can do really big fines. If they see you do things like $10,000, $16,000 a day. But I don't know the answer to that, I've never seen like a big
Significant.
fine, a big thing
Reason in the law?
written in the law, and I don't know why. And maybe Mary Lou would know
Oh,
why.
I'll make a note that I ask about.
fine and sizing of fine exactly, because there's some things you think like, right, burning hazardous waste in your front yard, you think should be, oh, $250, you know, it should be something like $10,000.
Send it on.
Polluted everything.
All right,
Um,
let's reel it in and get on to I.
I have no comments on it.
yes, there was one. I had one word in your comment, this is so painful. hard to understand.
I had a comment on restoration, the definition. Restoration, bringing a damaged, pre-existing, non-conforming building or structure up to the original pre-damaged conditions.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry,
in
that's the
yeah,
last
So
one.
the definition.
So I think that
Gotcha.
means like if there's an existing, like foundation, that's,
I under. My comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, my comment is that it's one thing to bring it up to the original pre-damaged conditions, but it's another thing to bring it up and make sure that it's up to current code.
Could you do something like, or current code, whichever is more stringent, add that under the definition?
Well, I think there's a difference between structural and I guess I'm gonna call it functional or systems, like the electric system, the plumbing is different than the structure of the wood, right? So you want to make sure, so this is almost cosmetics. We want it to look like it looked, but from a system and a structure perspective, we want it to be up to current code.
I could use it as an example. The stone house on 209 coming out of Marble Town. On the right. I mean, do you want, if you were to rebuild that as a house, do you want that to be rebuilt as it was in the 1860s when they built it? Or do you want it to be built to code, electrical and plumbing and everything else like that?
Are there different requirements being that is
When
the
you
historical?
rebuild it, if you
structure,
rebuild, you know, it will burn down and stuff with the stone wall.
Right, do you mean me personally or what? I think
No,
we should.
well, what are you saying for restoration? Should it be brought back to how it was with new plumbing and new guts with existing exterior?
Code.
But up to current code, or should it be how it was?
Should be the current code.
I think
it's
it's
build it how it
No
was.
matter what the reformation is, it should be brought.
I don't think there's any way we should recommend somebody not being safe.
So what
Okay.
how would you change it? What would you, how would you write it?
So
How about,
bringing,
can I suggest? Sure, I think I know things. Up to the original pre-damage structural conditions, however, utilities, electrical, plumbing, utilities need to be put in the current code. So structurally, you want to allow them to continue to have a pre-existing non-conforming structure. That's what restoration means in this definition. But the guts of it, so how do you define guts? Well, what are guts considered to be? Utilities.
Anything you can't see.
so how about if we just,
There's a-
right,
there's
how about
a-
if a comma under, pre-damage conditions, comma, in line with current building code?
Exactly, there's a whole line that's in there, exactly, building, they always, building and fire, it's in all the codes.
So
I'm like,
instead of in
oh,
line, say
conforming with existing building and fire
Fire code.
codes.
That's,
that was my only comment on that.
because fire code covers,
Because otherwise
fire
you're
code and electrical underwriting standards.
And,
Question.
and we had a lot of these, so.
Yeah, like, there's a standard way, Mary Lou always says, there's a standard way, the way you say it, it's like,
So also, I'll keep going, in section 6.
On section 5.
Oh, yeah,
So we talk about restoration in section 5, is there anything we need to update there then? Since we changed the definition?
You might be able to elaborate in there a little bit more about what your,
That's what I was saying,
What you're really
should be
saying.
added,
The
should
struct-
be there to,
the structure can be the same in terms of size, whatever, but all items pertaining to fire code, electrical underwriting, plumbing, all need to be brought up to current building code.
just same kind of comment, keep an eye
But
on
this
current
is
building.
D,
Right, we're not, I don't think we have to give them the language, we just want to say we want to ensure the inclusion of something representing.
Safety,
current-
yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. So 6. Where he says accepting by right activities provided for above. And then they have, in my copy, they have stricken, no change, addition, or expansion shall result in a more intensive category of use. Non-conforming retailing enterprise could be converted to a barber shop, for example, but not industrial use. I don't understand why they struck that. To me, so what they're saying is, if you have a residential property that's non-conforming and you want to expand it to a retail shop, you can't do that. That's a more intense use. So if you have something like the Accord Market, right, and now you want to expand it to be, I don't know, something in more industrial, you can't do that without. So it seems to me that they're striking it when they should be leaving it in there so that it's not more intense. I don't understand why they would, what the reason for taking it out was. Or are they just saying
I think what they're saying.
it's
is
special use
You're
review no
making
matter
it-
what?
They're making it
Exactly.
permissible to expand and more intensive use, but only if the planning board reviews it under the special
Right.
use.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So I think they
But
have,
wouldn't you have to anyway?
If it's a change of use, yeah.
Right. So,
If you're going from a barber shop to a grocery store.
what they crossed out says together, you can never come in for a new use,
without a variance.
without it.
So they're shifting it from, I think they're shifting it to the planning. board.
From zoning to planning.
So no comment there.
Works for me, but.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's
Aaron,
more,
that's about-
exactly.
That's what they're doing.
I think it's just, well, this is, once again, this is Steve's handicap. I think the whole idea is to make it very clear where you go and what happens.
Yeah, okay.
And not to put in an example like that, because I'm trying to remember speaking to him on this. If you start putting in like example, like a barber shop, industrial, people get all distracted with that. It needs to stay vague.
Right.
It's
Then
like,
they'll be like, well, what about this?
Well, what about this?
What
What
about
about this? Well, I don't want a barber shop, but I want a barber shop with a nail salon also.
Gotcha.
And so if you can't put those examples in, or people
Yep.
go.
To which I would say you can't have enough nail salons.
You need
So,
more. nail-
You
so
want it more vague.
You want it more vague, so it goes before the code enforcement office. They say, no, you're changing the use. It's a special use. Go to the planning board, end of discussion. Any change, go to the planning board. I did.
Right.
you
The
got it
center of
right,
everything here. Here we are.
I had a typo, I'm not there. What do you do?
Okay. So I had a question. Are we done?
Yeah,
Section 7, where use of existing non-conforming lots of record shall be deleted. Is the impact on that if you had a 1 acre property that now in an R2 zone, you wouldn't be able to build on?
no, I think they just rewrote it.
No,
See, it
because-
said a new subsection 140-43.
Why is it 8?
Bruce, you can pull a permit for a non-conforming lot right now, as long as you meet setbacks.
Right.
So as long as you have the setbacks in an undersized lot of the current zone, you're okay.
You know what, Bruce? I think this is just a numbering
It
thing.
No,
should
they
be
just-
7,
okay.
correct?
It's just a,
They're just rewriting section
they're just
140.
rewriting 140-43 to a new, exactly. It's not getting rid of it.
Yeah, got it.
It's a numbering thing,
All right.
exactly.
Do they need to preserve 7 and just say it's been deleted? And that's why they numbered it 8? In other words, in the book itself or in the code,
Oh,
7 still
They
has to
kept the
remain?
number.
Yeah,
I
that's
see what
exactly,
you're
that's
saying.
exactly.
Okay.
Right.
To say it's
You're
gone,
that makes sense.
and that's why you have 8.
You have,
It's not a
exactly.
numbering situation.
It's just a,
That makes sense, though.
no, I think you're totally right, because I know Mike talks about that a lot, exactly, and there it is that you have to. You can't just get rid of one because it doesn't follow anymore, it's a legal thing.
Right.
Exactly, you have to. They were getting rid of that legal thing.
So this is just a question too, sort of on B and C. So C says an owner may seek to reestablish the use, building, or structure within a period of 6 months after notification of abandonment by sending certified mail to the code enforcement officer. So, this, you can educate me, what are the triggers that he goes and sends a notice of abandonment to the owner? What triggers him to send that notice and start the 6-month clock?
It's in the previous.
It's in the previous,
it's in
exactly.
A, right?
The building inspector, upon determining any of the above circumstances exist, shall by certified mail notify the property owner record. And so then it says what it is up above that.
Yeah,
It
A1.
has not been resided for 24 months or more. The intent of the owner to discontinue use is made obvious by the posting of signs, boarding for windows, billers for taxes, or assessments, etc. So if any of A, 1, 2, 3, or 4 happens, then the building inspector says, hey, these are my clues that this is abandoned. So I send out a notice to you guys, it's abandoned.
Right, so his trigger is he's just driving around town and observing.
Or somebody said
somebody
something.
complains.
That's all we do.
That's kind of
Yeah,
where I'm.
that-
Yeah.
And then the person could say, whoa, I'm totally sorry. If it's within the 6 months, I'll go fix it.
I'll go
up.
pull a permit.
I'll go pull a permit, exactly. So,
And then Maren, on section 9C, I think this is, I remember talking to you about the doctrine of mergers. Which is
Exactly.
where-
I had like some such wording needs to be added.
where 2 or more adjacent lots, 1 or more of which is not conforming or owned by the same owner. The ownership of these lots is concurrent. Such lots shall be combined to create conforming lots that are less than the non-conformity. It's not possible to create conforming lots. Which is almost a little bit in conflict with F on the page prior.
So ultimately, if you have 2 lots next to each other, owned by the same person that are, say, 1.5 acres, and they're in an AR3 zone, they would combine them to make it conform.
Right, that's the doctrine of mergers. Right. So this, okay.
Going back to the F, number, it says the use shall not, it doesn't say anything. And the other one is just the combining the property.
Right, so here's an example. Right, so the gentleman had 2 non-conforming properties. On one was a house, on one was nothing. He wanted to build a new house on the one that had nothing. If we had combined those 2 properties together for zoning, right? He wouldn't have been able to do that because he would have had an existing structure already,
That was conforming.
right? Because now it brings him into conformance. So if he took that house down, right, he couldn't build a new one until he took that old one down and started again, right? So it's a little, I understand where it's a good thing to combine them for zoning and planning purposes like that. I don't know what the impact on taxes and things like that would be, but that's not for us. I think it's good doing them. It brings us with more conforming lots. I'm in favor of the thing. I'm just questioning, you know.
Yeah, I guess you can't, unless you don't consider, right, in theory, on the tax basis, it's out of our purview. Be better to have 2 houses, both in non-conforming lots, both collecting income, but as opposed to one,
This makes it easier.
but that's,
Yeah, but what
that's
about-
not what 140 is about anyway, so that's up to.
Right.
What about in the same context, on the other way, where you have somebody who has 4 half-acre lots in an R1 zone, right next to each other, and they're all vacant.
Right.
Now he comes and wants to pull a permit and put 4 houses there. It's non-conforming. They'll allow you to do it, as long as you meet
Right.
setbacks.
And it would stop, that
This would stop it.
would stop.
This would stop it, exactly. Which is probably a good idea, because once again, that goes back to our difficulties with water and septic, so,
Density.
and then next thing you know, you're gonna have the planning board, we're saying, like, what?
Mexico
They could,
City.
right, like you said,
They had this
we have to
same problem,
discuss it,
right.
exactly. So you can pull the permits and build, that would be okay, but then you're gonna end with Mexico City, it's hard, because you're gonna have sewage flowing everywhere, so this gets rid of some of those that are left that way. Not part of the water problem.
Right, so I had talked to Mary Lou about this when
when we had some zoning. And I think Kingston had attempted this, county Kingston, with,
Non-conforming.
yeah, with not the greatest results, but I'd have to get back to you. I don't remember all.
Think
But I
it'd
think
be-
it's, I think it's a good
I
idea.
think it would be easier here because we have fewer of them and it is more
Right.
rural Kingston, I would imagine with the density. I probably had a lot of
Right.
non-conforming, it was hodgepodge built up.
Oh,
over-
yeah.
Yeah.
Still, our good friend Mr. Cornell at one time for zoning had submitted for the record the number of non-conforming lots in the town, and it was something in the around 1,400.
What?
In our town? Currently?
With houses on?
Not all.
Not all
I
big.
believe it was. And they had structures on them, or they were just lots?
Four
Hold
hundred.
on, yeah.
I think it's,
Yeah.
From
know
the
what?
galley.
I just heard from like, it's more like 400.
No, I think it was 14.
We might be down to 400 now because we've done so many lot line revisions and
It
stuff
might be.
on the planning board that we have gotten rid of easily
Yeah, but-
1,000 of them.
I'll go back to the minutes of that meeting. I know exactly where it was. Because the minutes are really a good record of it. It was.
I wonder how many of those.
I can tell you what the applicant was on Rochester Center Road. Her name was Sisson, where he had brought it up. And it was probably in 2018.
Oh, we definitely have corrected 1,000 from 2018 to now.
But
No problem.
Things like it's weird, the things that stand out. Okay, good. We done with the
That's that.
referrals? We're all good? We'll copy everyone on the note that gets sent to the town board so that everybody's aware of it. If there are errors on it, send the errors so that we can correct them. Okay. Next item was action on minutes. We didn't have a quorum to approve them the last time. The minutes for May 9th, May 24th, 13th, 11th. I'll make a motion to approve all the aforesaid minutes.
I second.
All right. Do a voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
There were some changes, yeah. I was at.
All right, and I'm abstaining as well because I wasn't. Okay, just a couple of quick things, housekeeping items. The training, I know we passed that out the last meeting. Make sure you get any revisions or questions. Nicole, ex parte communications. You should not have direct or indirect contact with applicants or their representatives outside of the public meeting. Again, if you're contacted by an applicant or their representative, explain that it has to be within a public meeting or a public hearing, and put it on record. Let Nicole know so that it can be in the record that you. And that includes being mindful of our emails and changes to one another. Certain that you're not expressing any opinion, that you just have some factual documents, that kind of thing. Distributing meeting agendas, discussion schedule, documents created by outside. As long as you don't express an opinion, we can pass those around. Site visits, make sure that all the site visits get coordinated through Nicole so that we can respect the privacy of the applicants and make sure that we don't inadvertently trigger a violation of the open meetings law by more of us showing up there than they should be. Okay. And then lastly, the board planner, CPL, and the board attorney and Nicole are not volunteers, so they're paid. So we want all communications to flow through Nicole to them. We don't want to be calling them without the approval back when the contact that this would be. I know it's expedient at times to have the attorney and the planner speak directly to their counterparts, right? Like they were doing tonight. But any time that they do that and the applicant is present, I want one of us in the room so that we avoid any he said, she said stuff. Right, this way we're there to document it, and Nicole's been very good about setting up those meetings. So I know you guys know all of this and have been through the training and reiterated it. I just want to be on record as saying I've spoken to you about it, so that we're on record as understanding. So,
My understanding, we could contact
stuff that for us. But previously going, I wanted to go through that. Because there could be more than one question that are the same. This way, you're not calling about the same question I'm calling about the same question you're asking. So, I'm not saying we won't say, yeah, get on the phone with her. We just want to be aware this way. We know that we're not violating.
And I have one more thing. I sent, I'm not sure that I can use the I on July 11th.
Okay.
As far as the minutes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
On the July 11th.
So you still have enough?
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick.
Anything else?
I just sent to you in the full, I don't know if you've seen it on trainings. The New York Planning Federation has these online lunches. I got just the emails from them. I just had one last week, but it is a very easy way to get training credits. So if you like, sign up to get on the email list of the New York Planning Federation.
Which I believe everybody should be
On
on,
email?
because I
Yeah.
registered all of you at the beginning of the year.
Great stuff.
Yeah,
And so you
So
can
check
watch
your
it.
junk
Yeah,
folder.
exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Check because it's very easy. You put it on, you tap doing something else and and you don't get your credits, but they have a lot, and they have a lot of great resources for that.
Just the last thing, Mark had handed out some minor revisions to this document. I know the links are still a little,
Yeah, I recall that from Sandy.
so I think this is good. I've been going through it. I still have a few, maybe 5 or 6 lines to go through to do it. At a later date, we'll review it. But I think it worked really well. We did use Mr. Gray's application last time to go through it. Pretty clear and pretty easy to work on. I guess. So you guys did some really good work.
Motion.
Yeah.
Is done.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in